Hello, everyone. So we're going to begin shortly. So while we're settling in, I know that this is supposed to be the fourth year student lecture, but I just wanted to see who do we have here. So year 4, can you like raise your hand or make some noise? Who's year 4? How many of year 4s do we have here? Okay, here we have. Do we have any year 3s with us? Anyone year 3? A couple of people. Okay, do we have year 2? Okay, oh, quite a few of you guys. Good job. Any year 1s? Nice, you guys selected. Oh, you lost one at the back. You don't want to join your teammates at the first row? Okay. So we're still waiting for our speaker to come up, and as soon as he is here, we're going to start. So if some of your friends are not here, but they wanted to join us, text them so they can come, and we should be starting shortly. And also, we have a Q&A session towards the end, and you better have questions. So make sure that maybe you take this time or during the session to prepare your questions. You better have at least 2 questions minimum. So if you don't want to be the one who asks the question, make your friend ask the question. But I want to have at least 2 good questions to our speaker at the end of the session. Okay. So this is a good time to think of your questions. So think very hard. Oh, I wanted to also ask the question, do we have anyone who is not Basai student here? Okay, do we only have, okay. Oh, we do have somebody who is not Basai. Great, welcome. I just wanted to check, I didn't want to out you out. I think we can begin. All right, can we give first a big round of applause to everyone so we can start off the session? So a big round of applause, everyone, for us making it here. Okay, wonderful. So dear distinguished guests, students, site colleagues, everyone not from our school but still member of Chulalongkorn University, and outsiders, welcome to this very special talk by Jirayut Srupsrisopa, who is the founder and group CEO of Bitkub. So we are very honored to have you here today with us. as a part of the Capstone project hosted by Chulalongkorn School of Integrated Innovation. So Capstone, as you may know, is this a great experience that our senior students have when they finish all of their coursework and in their final year of the fourth year program, of their 4-year-long journey, where they can jam as many experiences and as many learning opportunities as they can in this final year and learn as much as they can. So this is a part of the capstone, but we also here believe that learning should be accessible by everyone. Therefore, we open this session for everyone, all the other students from other years to join. So we hope that you'll find this learning opportunity helpful in your journeys. So I would like to welcome on stage Professor Dr. Warsa Kanoknukulchai, who is the Executive Director of the school, to give his opening remarks and welcome our speaker onto the stage. So please welcome him, give him a big round of applause, and we are ready to begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first CEO talk at the Chulalongkorn School of Integrated Innovation. This event highlights our dedication to offering our students the real-world experience and knowledge through close collaboration with the industries. Today, we are exceptionally honored to welcome Mr. Jirayut Srupsrisopa, popularly known as Kun Top, as the founder and group CEO of Bitkub Capital Group Holdings Company Limited, which is the Thailand's largest and most reputable blockchain and digital asset group. His extensive career and educational background, which include MPhil in economics from Oxford University, make him the ideal guide to our rapidly evolving digital landscape. So we anticipate an enriching and inspiration time together. So please sit back, relax, and prepare to be enlightened. Rest assured that your time will be well spent this evening. Now, without further ado, let's extend a warm welcome to Kun Top, Mr. Jirayut Srupsrisopa.
Sawasdiทุกๆคนนะครับ สวัสดีอาจารย์ด้วยนะครับ First of all, thank you so much for having me here today, and big apology for being 30 minutes late. I got an urgent invitation from the government. So I'm really glad that finally the new government is able to open up to a private sector to help shape the Thai economy going forward. And I believe everybody here would love to become an entrepreneur, right? In the future when you graduate. And a good thing about entrepreneurship is that once you grow your business to a certain size, you can start to influence the economy. Right? I have an hour today of my time the goal is to inspire future entrepreneurs. And I have 30 minutes of Q&A. I would love this session to be a two-way interaction session. But within the first hour, from the inspiration that I would love to give everybody here. But I would love to start with giving insights on where the biggest opportunities are, at least of your time, based on the unique insights that I have been participating in many of the world stages events, like Davos, right? Like B20, G20, APEC, Bloomberg conference. So first of all, I would like to start with a few interesting numbers. Do you know that today 44% of the China's GDP comes from digital economy? This is the second largest economy in the world, right? Almost half of its GDP comes from digital economy. Last year was 40, this year is 44. Li Xiang, he is the Prime Minister of China. He gave an opening remarks at Summer Davos. He said that, right now, 44% comes from digital economy. CEO of Foxconn. Do you know Fox? You guys know Foxconn, the creator, manufacturer of the iPhone. He said digital economy would be bigger than anything else combined in the future. Right. So this is one first interesting numbers, at least for you guys to take notes, right, where the opportunities are. The second interesting numbers or figure is this. Li Xiang said that right now there are 400 million Chinese middle class. In the next 10 years, in the next decade, the number would be 800 million Chinese middle class. These are the new rich, you would say. Those who are buying luxury handbags for the first time. Those who are buying luxury watches, wine for the first time. This is the equivalent of 10 Thai economies combined, right? Not Thai economies. We have 70 million population here. Right? Imagine 11 Thailand with full of the new riches, with deep pockets, 800 million. That's another interesting numbers for you guys to take note of where the opportunities are. Right? Also, after the year 2024, which is in the next 18 months from today, we will be entering our golden era. We, as in ASEAN region, for the first time, we will be receiving an unprecedented amount of investment into our region, more than what our parents' generation could have imagined. We won't be the area or the region that people are overlooking. Right? We will be the new S-curve of the world, the new growth engine of the world. But there is a big but. But this time, the new investment won't be entering the old economy. For example, this new investment will not enter the petrol car industry. It will enter the electric car industry. Right? To make it simple, I think, if you guys don't remember anything today, please remember 3 words. Right? These 3 words would describe, exactly where the opportunities are going forward. The first word is digital. Right? The second word is green, as in green transition, energy transition, net zero, carbon neutrality. Right? And the third word is revolution. digital green revolution. These will be the biggest opportunities of your time going forward in the next decade. People, the leaders are even started to say that's the world's first ever trillionaire, right? We will not come from traditional sector. We will not come from blockchain or digital assets, but the first trillionaire would be created from climate technology, right? The green transition, the net zero. If you notice, I started to wear this pin, right? There are 17 colors representing 17 SDG goals. And I can see from attending Davos multiple years, we start to see we start to notice a big difference. Last year, only people like Bill Gates are wearing this pin, right? But this year, almost everybody, the 3,000 leaders are wearing this pin now at a global stage. Even the Thai leaders, Kun Supachai, CP, is wearing this pin. Kun Than Top Warawut, the Minister of Natural Resource, is also wearing this pin. So it is clear that we are almost there at the crossroads of the energy transition. So working backwards, coming back to today, you guys are the new hope, right? The new generations of entrepreneurs. My advice to you all is to make sure that you push the technological frontier forward. Because your main strength is not because you have the highest IQ compared to the previous generation, or not because you have the previous highest AQ compared to the previous generation, but really our strength, or your strength, is that you have the highest AQ, adaptability quotient, the ability to adapt. And that is the most important skills of the future. So please make sure you start a new thing. Don't join the old industry. Push the technological frontier forward. Have the courage to start a startup, a company. I have 5, 6 tips for future entrepreneurs. At least these 6 traits or characters would be useful if you want to become successful as an entrepreneur. The first principle is to spend time, make sure you spend your time on asymmetric investment activities. What are the asymmetric investment opportunities? For example, asymmetric investment activities are things that have limited downside but unlimited upsides. Because our time is limited, right? We have to make sure that we spend our time effectively. There are many things around you that falls under this asymmetric investment activities. For example, asking a girl out on a date. That is one type of asymmetric investment activity. Do you guys know why? What is the worst that could happen if you ask a girl out on a date? She may say no. That's the worst that could happen, right? That's your downside capped. What's the upside? Who knows? Could be your life partner, right? So make sure you have a go at asymmetric investment activities. What are the other asymmetric investment activities that you should spend your time on? For example, start a company. What's the worst that could happen when you start a co.Ltd, company limited? What's the worst that could happen? You just lose this 1 million baht capital registration, right? Because it's capped, company limited. That's the maximum downside. What's the upside? The next Bill Gates, who knows? Bitkub, unicorn, right? Unlimited upsides, right? So make sure you look at things around you and analyze how you spend your time. Make sure that all your activities are tailored towards asymmetric gain. Let me give you another example of asymmetric investment activity. Investing is another asymmetric, right, investment activity. Imagine if you have 1 million Thai baht to start off. You want to invest in Apple stocks, I don't know, Bitcoin, gold. What's the worst that could happen? You lose that 1 million Thai baht. That's the maximum loss that you could have encountered. What's the upside? Unlimited upside, right? So make sure you analyze the time spent. You need to be able to leverage on the unlimited impact, right? Unlimited upsides, limited downside in everything you do. A second principle as an entrepreneur is to do one thing that scares you every day. Even if you work backwards to today, you have no idea yet what company you would like to start. If you have no idea what you want to do, for your company in the future, what you can do today and to not waste time is to push your comfort zone, to do one thing that scares you every day. Because when your time comes, you have to do so many things that are not in your comfort zone. Yeah, not comfortable to do. Do you know what CEO stands for? Actually stands for Chief Everything Officer. You have to, as a founder and a CEO, you have to be the person that would have to do anything for the survival of your company. So you should practice today. You should start already. Do one thing that scares you every day. And do you know what would come afterwards? Failure. Because it's going to be your first time doing it, right? I'm not an Elon Musk. Nobody is an Elon Musk here, right? So everybody would fail when you have a go at something for the first time, especially things that are outside of your comfort zone. So make sure you are familiar with failure. And let me tell you this true story. I am in the YPO EO forum. It's like a secret club of entrepreneurs. And once you climb up this ranking, once you start your company and you climb up the ranking, you will meet the threshold to be able to be qualified for these secret clubs, right? It's a global network. EO is million, right? Dollar mark. YPO is a billion Thai, roughly billion Thai baht revenue threshold. And there was this German entrepreneur who is in the forum. He said he needs to take 3 months off from YPO and EO. Recently, he just committed a suicide. And this is a true story, which is pretty sad. Most people think of entrepreneurship, as cool, trendy, all the good sides, all the good stuff. But really, are you able to sacrifice? The price, what price are you willing to pay? You have to also think of the downside. The higher you go up, the lonelier you will get. This is so true. And please make sure you treasure your real friends. Because the higher you go up, the more deal friends you will have, and less authentic friendships you will also receive. Right? And do you know why? What would be the benefit of practicing like daily failure and pushing your boundaries every day? It prepares you for the stamina, right? It increases your pain threshold level. Once you start a company, it's going to be a painful journey. Even my own journey, I would not do it again. I mean, if I have to repeat what I've been through in the past 10 years, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, like getting into Oxford or creating a unicorn. It's one of those things that you have to check the box, but if you have to do it again, you won't do it. It's too painful. So I think looking backwards to today, if you really are aiming to become an entrepreneur, make sure you increase your pain threshold every day, so that when real stuff is happening to you, you have the stamina, you have the ability to handle pain, more pain than many people, right? So make sure you don't see failure as a downside. And this is, by the way, the biggest misconception that the media is giving to the people. Either you success or either you fail. But this is not how the world works in reality. I fail every day. I fail every year. I screw things up every year. I mess things up all the time, right? But I don't tell everything on media. And the media doesn't show everything too. Success comes with failure. Failure is a stepping stone. It's not either or. It's not binary. That's the biggest misconception. Nobody knows how to ride a bike, for example, by asking other professional bikers on how to ride a bike, right? You have to fall, you have to fail over and get it back up. You have to handle the pain first before you are able to learn how to ride a bike. You can't even read books on how to ride a bike and being able to ride a bike, right? That's not how the world works. Same with entrepreneurship, same with starting a company. Make sure that you can embrace failure on a day-to-day basis. And if you're already embracing failure, you should be grateful because you're doing things that are outside of your comfort zone. That's why you fail, right? It means that you're still constantly pushing your comfort zone, expanding your comfort zone. And next thing you know, you have already become a better person. You can't notice this by on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. But if you look back a year from now, by constantly pushing the boundaries, you will notice that you have come a long way, right? So the second principle is to make sure that you do one thing that scares you every day. For myself, one of the scariest things for me was to get up on stage and speak in front of large crowds. But trust me, after 1,000 stages, you don't feel anything, right? It's like running a marathon. For the first time that you decided to get up in the morning and go for a run, that first 1 kilometer would be the toughest part, right? But go running every day. You can do 10 kilometers with nothing, right? That's the genius part about human. We humanize, we normalize things. So make sure you do it in a consistent uh, manner. And I love another concept of Roosevelt, President Roosevelt, daring greatly concept. Because by the time you graduate and you're going to be pushing the technological frontier forward, next thing you will know that everybody around you would be laughing at you, would be stepping on you, right? Would be accusing you, despising you. There'll be even your parents, my parents at least. They will not understand what you do. But what's important is the one that takes action, not the one that criticizing others. There's so many of these people, right? So make sure you ignore the noise and stick to your vision. Which links to another character which we're not doing so well, especially the newer generation, the patient. You guys cannot wait anymore. You want an overnight success, but that's not how the world works, right? My journey is not just Bitkub. I have been in this space for the longest time, 10 years. Right? Bitkub is actually my second crypto company. I don't know if you guys know that I got an investigation letter from the anti-money laundering officers. I was almost one leg was already in jail. Right? I got an investigation letter from the Bank of Thailand for operating a business with no license. There were no license actually because nobody understood what Bitcoin was. Right? I had to go and explain to the RD, the Revenue Department, so many times on how to pay taxes. I was accused of avoiding taxes too. Right. And I can't even talk to my parents because all they say were, "Top, you just shut down this company and help me sell clothes at Pratunam." My parents, they sell clothes, a small SME. Right? I don't even have friends. I still don't have friends, even up to today. Only deal friends, not real friends, by the way. So make sure you treasure your real friends. Because the higher you go up, the less authentic friendship you will get. Right? And I don't even have friends, many friends from the start. And even my friends were looking down on me because of my degree. I graduated from Oxford University. Right? And every year there's this Oxbridge dinner. Once per year, it's an opportunity for Oxford student and Cambridge student to brag pretty much at each other, how successful they are, once per year. They would meet and they would ask questions like, "What are you up to? What do you do?" "Oh, I am now working for Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, Bain, BCG." Right? Those are the typical answers. And when they turned around to me, I was like, "Yes, I started a startup." "Oh, cool. How many people do you have in your company?" "One, Chief Everything Officer." Right? I was 23. "Oh, what do you do?" "Bitcoin." "Are you laundering money?" Right? At least those were my experiences. Success is not easy. It's not an overnight thing. Make sure you have not just a high pain threshold, but have patience too. Right? And technology doesn't help either. Because eases our lives for sure, right? When you guys are hungry, you move your thumb, and all the food around Bangkok would be delivered to your doorstep within 30 minutes. When you want to find a partner, you just go into an app, and you can meet, girls, 100 girls in a day, right? Obviously, you're not gonna have patience, but it is very important as an entrepreneur to have patience. Perseverance, I think that's the word. Apart from the ability to handle high pain threshold, make sure you have perseverance. In every entrepreneurs I have met, they all share the same trait, perseverance, in whatever industry they operate in. Yeah, but also it's not for everybody. You have to ask yourself, what is the price that you're willing to pay? If you look at, I don't know, the billionaires in Thailand, you would want to be them on the surface. But when you dig deep, maybe now 50% would want to be them when they know the truth of what they have to experience. And when you dig deeper, the sacrifice part, maybe only 10% would love to be them. So you have to go back and ask yourselves, are you willing to pay the price? Right? For example, for me, this is a true reflection. I am 33 years old, but my body age is 49. Do you guys know that now there's a technology to check your body health? 49 years old. The doctor said that because I never sleep before 10 p.m. for almost 20 years now, right? So I never benefit from this growth hormone phase. And also, I only sleep for 4 or 5 hours per day for a long time. And also under constant stress. And that is why my body is much older than my actual age. Right? Are you willing to pay the price? When I started Bitkub, even up to today, I barely spend enough time with my family. You know how on the refrigerator there'll be family photos of different trips? I'm the only one that is always missing from the photo. I could not remember beautiful memories as much with my family in the past 10 years during my my entrepreneurial journey. So you have to ask yourselves, what price are you willing to pay? Maybe I'm a bit extreme because do you guys know that now I live in hotels? Are you willing to pay the price, right? And the reason why I live in hotels is because when I come back at 3 a.m., I can order room service, right? The hotel would look after my clothes. Right? They would wash the clothes. Right? They would clean the room every day. I can buy my time back. Right? But that's a bit extreme. I have 7 secretaries who automate as many part of my life as possible, including the non-work secretary. I only wear one costume, one shirt, one suit every day so that I can focus all my attention to the company. Right? I also have a long-term girlfriend. We have been together for almost 5 years. And at 33, most of my friends are getting married. Do you know why I'm not married? am afraid of productivity loss. And when you're having children, 0 to 3 are the most important years for the kid. I cannot sacrifice the time, at least not now. I mean, this is just one example, one case study, right? But back to the principle, right? Are you willing to pay the price? You have to also ask yourselves. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Right? But the media only show the good side, not the downside. Apart from pushing your comfort zone every day, which tips are we at now? Second, third, right? The third tips would be what you can do today, even if you have no clue what you want to do in the future, is to learn the fundamentals of business, all the back office stuff. Like master your cash flow statement, for example. Make sure you understand operating activities, investing activities, financing activities, how cash flow statements is related to balance sheet, is related to income statement. Make sure you master these business basics because you definitely need them regardless of which business you will start, right? And even our previous generation of entrepreneurs, like the companies listed, JKN, if you guys have heard of the news, right? Publicly listed companies, they're not mastering their cash flow statement. Make sure you understand your current ratio, quick ratio, DE ratio. You know, these are the basic key financial ratios you must be able to communicate and with your team, right? It's the health check of your business. Make sure you master your basics of, legality aspect of the company, HR, the people, because regardless of which company that you will start, you will have to use these knowledge, all the back office stuff, like financial, HR, right, legal work. Real case study to you all. In 2021, I paid $50 million in taxes in 1 year. 1,600 ล้าน 50 million, right? 1.6 billion Thai baht in a year to the country. I mean, it's an honorable thing to do, paying taxes, but not 50 million in a year for a 5-year-old startup. You would rather invest that money to grow, to make sure you have a stronger foundation, right? But because of this lack of knowledge on the restructuring of the holding structure, it's the most expensive mistake I have made. And the toughest part about correcting the structure is that once you already started the company, it's very hard to fix, to clean up the structure. So when you guys have time, make sure you master your financial knowledge, master your your legal knowledge, your HR, you have to deal with people, right? All the back office stuff that you have to use eventually. Also, practice your lifestyle to get into a good, healthy habit. Right? I'm a very bad example, right? 49 years old, the body age. If I could go back in time, I would practice things like meditation. I would try to master meditation. I would try to be an early bird, sleep early to benefit from the growth hormone. right? And make sure you have a good like routine. Like you exercise in the morning, you jump into an ice bath, you meditate, and you start your work. Because once you get into starting a company, then it's very hard to fix up your, because there'll be fires all the time. You have to fix issues, running around solving issues. So make sure you get into a good routine early. If I could go back and tell myself, at least, looking backwards, if I still have no clue what I would like to do for the company, I would prepare those aspects first, because you will eventually get to use them. But also, the fourth tips, many of us cannot handle failure well. Have you guys ever experienced the worst day of your life? Like nothing is in order, right? Everything is against you. I would love to share with you one technique. When you experience a very bad day and you want to give up, and at one point you'll get to the stage that you cannot talk to your employees because they would not understand your issues. You cannot talk to your parents, you cannot talk to your friends who are climbing up ladders, right? Different conversation. A useful tip would be, in your very bad day, get a piece of paper out and a pen or a pencil, and you should start to write your grateful list, gratitude list. It helps a lot, right? I think this fourth tip doesn't apply to just entrepreneurship, but a very bad day in general, or at your lowest point in life. In the YPO-EO forum, some guys even do this as a routine. He would get up in the morning and he would start to email to himself a grateful list of things that he appreciates in life. It helps, at least for me as well. On my very bad day. I haven't told you guys the full journey yet, but I would not repeat the whole journey again. It's too painful. But I wrote things like, at least my parents are still here. This is an example for you guys. All my family members are happy and healthy. If I have to sacrifice all the money in the world, all the power in the world, all the fame, just for my family members to be here and happy, and I would do it. Right? So these are good reminders. You are luckier than many of the people, luckier than you think. So make sure you don't forget this tip on your worst day. Let me tell you before I tell you my personal story, let's wrap up, right? What are the 3 words? If you don't remember anything today, when you go home, what are the 3 words? Where are the biggest opportunities of your time in the next decade? Digital, green, revolution, right? Once you master your back office stuff, and when you want to start a new business, make sure you're moving in the same direction as where the world is heading. Right? Either start a climate technology company or start a 4th industrial revolution technology infrastructure, like AI, big data, 3D printing, IoT, Internet of Things, Internet from the sky, right? The 4th industrial revolution technology, or the green transition, green supply chain, net zero, carbon neutral, climate technology. Right? And that's the first point. The second point to wrap up is that after the year 2024, ASEAN would be entering its golden era. We would be receiving an unprecedented amount of investment, more than our parents' generations combined. But, big but, right? It won't go into the old traditional space. The new investment, we're talking about long term, right? FDI would be entering the newest industry, digital green revolution space. Somebody might question, well, P. June, WHA is still growing very fast. Recently, Amata Group, in the industrial parks of Thailand are still growing. And there are many old businesses. How come they are still able to receive the investment? Let me answer you. You have to separate between a short-term impact versus a long-term trend. The short-term impact resulted from this China Plus One strategy. Have you guys heard of the China Plus One strategy? So during COVID, all the supply chain were in China. Everything got stuck. Nobody could transact or produce things during COVID because China shut down the country. Post-COVID, companies around the world started to learn that they should not put all eggs in one basket. So there is this plus one strategy, meaning that in the short term, Thailand benefited, Vietnam benefited from this China plus one, meaning that traditional factories are still in China, but they also create a second insurance option, second factory outside of China in case of the supply chain disruption, right? But these are very, very short-term impacts. Make sure you have a longer-term view, right? ASEAN would be entering the golden era, but the new investment would be entering into a new sector. Right? Make sure you push, or you start, you push the technological frontier forward. What are your benefits, just to summarize, compared to the previous generation? You guys have the highest AQ, right, which is the most important skills of the future, the ability to adapt. Because I am also in the Future of Education Forum, from the World Economic Forum. They said that in the next 5 years, 40% of our current capabilities or skill sets would become obsolete, including myself. Almost half of our current capabilities would be useless in the next 5 years, because the world will be changing so fast. AI would be able to democratize many of the technical abilities, and they have agreed on the new skill taxonomy. What are the skills needed for the future? Mostly are heavily weighted on the soft skills, like negotiation skill, communication skill, leadership skill, team working skills, things that AI cannot automate, right? You guys have the advantage because you have the highest AQ compared to the previous generation. So make sure you push on the new stuff for the country. And also the tips, right? I shared with you a few tips. The asymmetric investment activities, right? Pushing your comfort zone, have a high pain threshold, practice every day. So when the real stuff is happening to you, you are able to handle, not experiencing a shock, right? This is very important, right? And yeah, a few other things. But I have 15 minutes left, right? I haven't even started on my journey. Maybe can I have 15 minutes Q&A instead of 30 minutes? So I have 30 minutes of storytelling.
Sure, do we have any questions? I will pass the mic. Yes. Can somebody help run?
How much time do I have left for today?
Do we have?
40 minutes?
Think so.
Okay.
So a couple of questions first.
No, can I do 20 minutes of personal journey sharing, and then down to 20 minutes left of Q&A?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Keep your questions.
Sorry for taking too much time, but those are useful stuff that I share to you guys, right? To prepare, at least yourself, to become a future entrepreneur. My journey, you don't have to be good at school to be a good entrepreneur, right? Because I wasn't a good student. I was in a small primary school in Thailand called Sesawet. I don't think any of you have heard of this company. It's closed down or shut down already. Always got into fights. Remember P6, primary school, broke my friend's arm from fighting. Right? I jamได้, broke his arm. And I was almost expelled. The headmasters called my mom into his office, and I was almost gonna get expelled. That was the first time that I saw my mom cry. And I come from a middle class family. We have money to. I mean, we have money, but we don't have enough money to get new cars or buy new houses. Just we have a small garment factory at home and a small shop at the Pratu Nam Center, exporting clothes, like traditional SMEs. And less than, I think my parents can make less than, 10 million baht per year. Right? And back then. But after that incident, my mom and my dad decided to send me and my brother to New Zealand, to a boarding school in New Zealand, hoping that a better environment would shape me and my brother to become a better student. Yeah, still a very bad student, even in New Zealand. Never was good at studying. I wanted to be a footballer. Cristiano Ronaldo is my idol. He's still my idol, right? Even up to today. My biggest dream was to become a first Thai footballer for Manchester United. That's my favorite club, unfortunately. Right? Yeah, and I think the breakthrough came after graduation from high school, New Zealand. When I became a teenager, I want to come back here to Thailand and enter a Thai university. I want to have a Thai girlfriend. I want to have Thai friends, just like other teenagers. But my grades were so bad, so bad that I could not get into Jula. No way, there's no way I can get into Jula. I'm telling you that, So that was the first time that left a mark inside me. And I felt I was too late to change things because my grades were already out. But because of the love of football, I was exploring UK universities as an alternative choice because I cannot get into good Thai universities. I went into this UCAS system. I'm not sure if today, is it still the same system, UCAS? You can only pick 5 choices per year, and there's this university ranking tables. And that's the first time I realized that I actually have ambition, pretty high ambition. Even though my grades were so bad, I only look at the top tier universities like Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, UCL. And the reason why I supported Man United was because we were top teams in my generation, at least. Sir Alex Ferguson, 20 years of champions. So I hate losing. I think that was the word. I hate losing. But I was ashamed of putting in top universities because my grades were so bad. They would outright reject me, and I would have nowhere to study. So I ended up putting in like football teams, like Manchester, Newcastle, Liverpool, into my 5 UCAS choices. And I was so happy that Manchester University accepted me as a student. I decided to choose Manchester right away, not knowing that when I arrived, Manchester University actually is representing Manchester City. That was very painful because Man United is actually outside of Manchester, the Salford area. But when you have a second chance at life, your thinking is changed, right? My parents never told me to be a good student, to get good grades. But when you experience something, your thinking started to change. So when you have a second chance at life, I sacrificed everything to not have this bad memories or it left like a bad mark on me, right? During high school, transitioning into a university. I felt I was different. I cannot get into good universities. I look down on myself. And I don't want to feel like, I don't want to have this feeling when I'm old. So I entered the university for the first time. I entered the library for the first time in my first year, student. I did not know what a library looks like until first year university. I told you guys I wanted a girlfriend, right? Guess what? 5 years of no girlfriend, no relationship, no partying. And imagine this is like a teenage boy after high school. I mean, it's easy now for me, no drinking, but teenage boys, it was very hard back then to sacrifice the usual stuff. But yes, no life. Even the coldest time of the year in the UK, it was Christmas. You have a white Christmas in the UK at the end of the year. It's the warmest time of the year where people would meet face to face within their family. All the students would get a train back to their own home cities. International students would fly back to have turkey and dinner, Christmas dinner. I was the only one. Manchester is like a ghost town during Christmas. Walking through a very thick snow to the library every day, 7 days a week. I was revising 12 to 14 hours per day. And when you have a different goal, right? My goal started to shift from becoming a footballer to get into a top school, to remove this bad memory that I look down on myself. Your idol started to will change too. My Cristiano Ronaldo, he's still my idol, but I also idolized Kun Apisit. He was the prime minister at the time. He graduated from Oxford University. Your friends, group of friends, will start to change once your goal is different. You have a new group of friends. I start wearing glasses during my university time. I have all the nerdy friends around me. And every day I would discuss, like conversation-wise, I would not talk about fashion anymore. I would not talk about girls anymore. I talk about how to get into Oxford with my nerdy friends. I start to talk about assignments. I start to talk about exam preparations. Right? Once you have a clear goal. And you will know what to sacrifice. Back to the question, are you willing to pay the price? Right? No girlfriend for 5 years. No. Imagine a football fan. Old Trafford is in Manchester, like 30 minutes bus ride. Guess how many times I visited Old Trafford? In the same city, Manchester. Once. Throughout those 5 years. Once. Guess how many times I visited Europe? 0. I was habitating in the library, pretty much. Camping out in the library. Library sandwiches. All the time. So I learned the important lessons. I was reading economics at school, at university, by the way. And just to be frank, take whatever courses you won't need them in the future. Right? But what I learned, what I treasure the most from my university time or career is that I learned how to sacrifice for the first time in my life. Right? I learned how to handle pain, very painful to sit. Imagine a sports person to force himself to sit 12 hours, 14 hours every day, 7 days a week for 5 years. Right? That's very painful. Right? So I was teaching myself the ability to handle pain without knowing that I would be needing these skills after graduation. Right? I learned how to sacrifice. And after I graduated top of the whole departments, by the way, at Manchester University. And I got the Dean's Academic Awards, and the university gave the money back because the grades were really high, right? And I was the youngest to enter Oxford University at the age of 21, and for a master's degree right away. There were a class of 50 people in Oxford. I remember Tlek from Kazakhstan. He was a chemistry Olympics of Kazakhstan, and halfway through, he doesn't like chemistry. He shifted to economics and still get into good school. Chima, he is the UK student. He was on TV since he was young because he has the highest IQ, higher than average IQ. Right? You will see these people at Oxford. And I was the youngest. And it's one of those things that I would not do it again. Too painful. Like no life. Like literally no life. Like you can't imagine 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours per day. But it taught me an important lesson. At Oxford, you get to learn with like Nobel Prize laureates. I remember in the econometrics class, he was writing Bond's equation, right, on the board. The person teaching was Steve Bonds. He invented the formula. You meet these guys, like Sir David Henry. He was knighted by the Queen for co-integration, co-Granger. But the downside of having Nobel Prize laureates as professors or lecturers is that their brain doesn't function like normal people. They would go through the slides, the formulas very quickly. In other words, they are very bad teachers because their brain doesn't function like us. Very bad teachers. So apart from the ability to handle pain and learn how to sacrifice during my Manchester time, at Oxford, I learned an important skill, the ability to continuously teach yourself, right? And you need this lifelong learning. Don't stop learning after you guys graduate next year, by the way. Throwing hat doesn't mean anything, right? You have to constantly learn. The ability to self-teach, that's the most important. AQ, adaptability, ability to self-teach. And I mean, these are the key points during my student career. After graduation, I decided to go to China to start my first career as an investment banker. Have you guys watched The Wolf of Wall Street, the movie? I was doing that exactly. You guys know, you know there are different tiers, right? New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, right? You have OTCQB, OTCQX, and pink sheets, penny stock. I was doing pink sheet, penny stock. Right? A guy next to me, Darren, the next morning he became a director of a company, wild stuff. Right? The reason why I joined a very small boutique company in China. Imagine an Oxford graduate, right? That's not a normal route. That's not a normal stepping stone to take. If you look back, even if you look at today, Oxford graduates, they are very proud of themselves, right? Oxford University. They cannot look down anymore, right? The next step for me, I have to work for Goldman Sachs. I have to work for BCG, McKinsey, right? Because I'm an Oxford graduate, right? Most of my friends decided to stay on in the UK and optimize for paychecks. This is a very bad advice, by the way. Be different, don't be the same. I can tell you, today I'm the wealthiest out of all my 50 friends, right? Not because I'm the smartest, but because I'm different, right? Different is actually good, right? Let me tell you a secret. I almost did not pass my Oxford master's degree. Very bad, bottom of the class. Secret that I shared to you. So you don't have to be the brightest in the room, but make sure you don't be different. Because if everybody takes the same action, what would be the outcome? You would be receiving the same outcome, right? Make sure you find this important truth. This is the key word now, important truth. Everybody would have to navigate your own life, and you will arrive at your own conclusion, important truth, that nobody is able to see apart from you. And stick to this important truth. You have to find this important truth that you are the minority that is right or something. The minority are very wrong. The reason why I'm here today, not because I'm the smartest, but I was the minority that was right about Bitcoin, whereas the majority were wrong. Right? So after graduation, the 3 tips during university, right? The 4th tips after graduation for you is not to optimize paycheck. That is a very bad advice. Optimize for skill sets. Optimize experience. I was lucky because I was optimizing for experience. I joined a random no-name company, a really boutique investment banking firm in Shanghai. Right? And my thinking back then was, I want to know everything and do everything in a company instead of joining a huge corporation and do one minor, repeatable thing every day, right? I don't want to be a small engine. It pays off for me, at least, right? Because that's where I discovered Bitcoin. I discovered Bitcoin in Shanghai, in China, during my first career as an investment banker. You know, the pink sheet stocks, the price would go up very quickly, no ceiling, right? Because there's no regulations. Like my friend can become a director of a company like the next day. It's like wild stuff. One day at the desk, I discovered Bitcoin. I thought it was another pink sheet stock, to be honest. The price went from $11 to $1,150, 10,000% in a short period of time. I thought to myself, this pink sheet stock outperformed all the other stocks. What is this Bitcoin thing? Darren again, he did not bother. He said, oh, Top, that's not a pink sheet stock. And he stick to what he does. right? He regretted it, by the way, today. But I was lucky because I did not stop there. I started to research, and I stumbled across a blog written by Mark Anderson. Do you guys know Mark Anderson? I did not know, too, who he was, but this guy was the founder of Netscape, sold it to Microsoft, right? He already became a billionaire since university. And then he founded cloud computing 10 years before Amazon AWS does. And then in 2013, he wrote a blog called Why Bitcoin Matters. I don't know why I found it. It was a random blog back then, but now it's a New York Times classic article. It's now a classic New York Times article. But back then, 10 years ago, it was a random blog. But I have to thank him, right? I got to pick his brain, his vision of how Bitcoin is going to change the financial landscape, of how a phone that is connected to the internet can bank the unbanked, for all the unbanked, underbanked individuals in the ASEAN region in particular, or in the African continent. So I was convinced that, this Bitcoin application is going to disrupt Western Union, remittances, international transfer. And I was testing, right? I was discovering myself, what I like, what I dislike. That first job only lasts for 2.5 months. Not because I was not performing. I was super outperforming. I was intimidating everybody around me, right? Who is this Oxford kid pushing other people around the office all the time? I even pushed to the owner of the company. I met him in the elevator. I even tell the owner of the company what to do. Right? That's pretty weird, right? For a first level entry guy to do this. I was uncomfortable. I discovered that, maybe corporate jobs, maybe it's not for me. Maybe entrepreneurship is more suitable. But I decided to give myself a second chance. I applied to San Francisco to get a job as a financial consultant in San Francisco. The reason why I picked the US was because I had never been to the US before. I was optimizing for experiences. I had never been to China. I had never been to the US. Let's apply to the US. I started to like technology now after the discovery of Bitcoin, right? I wanted to see what Silicon Valley is like. So I went to San Francisco. I could not get a tech job, by the way. The best job I could get was a financial consultant with my economics background in the Market Street. Right? I was living in Sutter Street, get a bus to Market Street to work every day. After the first week into the second job, I know it's not for me. I was almost vomiting. It's like research. I had enough research during my Oxford time, right? I was almost vomiting. I had enough. But I already booked my ticket here, so I started to ask around. Do you guys know anybody working at Silicon Valley? Can you make an introduction? One of my friends introduced me to a former executive of PayPal. His name is Dan Chat. I treated him a brunch, pancakes. We met at a pancake shop in the Bay Area. I remember asking him, we were chatting first, like asking him questions like, he was telling me, Top, now there's this machine where you put at the airport where you can dispose all the coins when you're about to leave a country as a tourist, disposable coins, and it will credit into your PayPal account. Right? He started to replace those machines at the airport. And he said, would be great if they could not only credit into PayPal credits, but Bitcoin credit. I started to ask him, like, what do you think about Bitcoin? Long story short, he said, Top, you are the luckier generation. Bitcoin is going to change the financial landscape. The next day, I booked a ticket back home to start the first Bitcoin company in Thailand. My parents were shocked. Right? Before, when I was young, my parents were worried because I got into fights. I never was a good student. But during my university time, my parents were proud now. Oh, I'm on the right track. Got into top school. And after graduation, my parents started to worry again. Right? What are you doing? You work for 2 months in China. You work for a few weeks in the U.S. and you quit your job again. What are you going to do with your life? I want to start a startup. What is a startup, Top? What do you want to do? Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Right? My parents. And I did not know the truth, by the way, until after graduation. My mom told me the truth after graduation that they have to have these lunch boxes, right? Khao Kapao, lunch boxes, every day with my dad to save up for my tuition fee and my brothers and sisters' tuition fee to be able to study abroad. And my mom told me clearly, Top, I have nothing for you left. I can only provide you with the best education and that's it. I have no other assets left for you. And I felt bad because I only realized this after graduation. But I wanted to start a company. So the best I could ask my parents for was a spare room on the second floor of this clothing shop in Pratu Nam Center. Right? And my aunt, she runs a furniture factory. She donated a chair and a table to me. And she was my first customer. She purchased the first Bitcoin from me as the first customer. Now she has a few Mercedes. She's very happy. I forgot to tell you one most expensive dinner of my life. During time's up. 15 minutes left. Let me tell you one most expensive dinner of my life. This question, I have been asked this question a lot. Who has the most impact on you, right, on your life? His name is Bowie Guy. Right? He's a Chinese-American serial entrepreneur. Not an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. So he built an exit, right? Serial entrepreneur. During my job transition from Shanghai to the US, I had this 1 month gap. I started to email my friends. Because imagine if you work for like 5 days, 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours every day. You cannot sit still, trust me, right? I had this 1 month gap. So I don't know why I use email, but I started to email with my UK friends. What can I help? Beryl Lee, a friend I met in Manchester, she emailed back and said, Top, come to the Philippines. The startup ecosystem is growing very fast. I'll introduce you to this guy called Bowie. I'm working with him now on a project called World Startup Report. But Top, no money. No fee, no money. You can stay at my parents' house, with my mom's house, Beryl said, but no salary. Can you come and help out? I packed my bag right away. Right, so I worked with him on the World Startup Report. My job was to do a research on Thailand, on the Thai startup landscape. What I discovered back then was that there was no Bitcoin company in Thailand. Right? That was the useful insights I got from that project. But the most expensive dinner, here it comes. On the last day, tomorrow, I had to fly to the US to start a new job. Bowie did not pay me for the whole month of work. So he treated me to a nice dinner. And he said, I still remember these words clearly. He said, Top, you're flying tomorrow to start a new job. I heard you're an Oxford graduate, right? I was like, yes, I graduated from Oxford. What? Top, I heard you are 23 years old? Yes, I'm 23 years old. You have no wife, no kids, no girlfriend even. Right? He said, Top, my advice to you, don't get addicted, he said. Addicted to what? Top, if you take your flight tomorrow to San Francisco and you get addicted to your new job, the next thing you know, you'll be 40, 45, 50 years old. Next thing you know, you will have a wife and kids. Your parents are no longer here to give you moral support. Right? Long gone, your parents. And you cannot work 24/7 like you're 23 years old. And if you want to start a company, too late. Right? You will not be able to take risk because you have a wife and kids to look after. Your parents cannot give you moral support. You cannot work like crazy hours like when you're 23. But if you start a company now, right, he said it's not vice versa. He said it's not vice versa. He said if you start a company now, Top, you're 23 years old. You can work like crazy, 24/7. You don't have a wife. You don't have any responsibility whatsoever. Your parents can give you moral support. And if you fail, Top, with an Oxford degree, you can walk into any companies and they would gladly welcome you as an employee with that degree. But if you're 40, if you're 50, it's too late already. It's not vice versa. You know, that was the most expensive dinner of my life. Sometimes you cannot think or realize these things until you meet the right people, the right person. Let me tell you the truth. The next morning, the flight from Manila, right, Philippines, to the US, to San Francisco, I did not sleep the whole flight. After that dinner, I was rethinking about that conversation. And that's why when I discovered that consulting wasn't for me, 2 weeks, I think, top, flew back home, started the first Bitcoin company. So I have to really thank, Bowie for treating me that most expensive dinner of my life. Otherwise, I would not be here. Otherwise, I would not be an entrepreneur. Otherwise, I would not dare to take risk. But I also have to thank my university experiences to teach me, to prepare me the ability to handle pain, like very high pain, right, higher than usual, and sacrifice. Learn how to sacrifice. The first company started from my parents' shop, right, spare room. I started a Bitcoin company. Guess let you guys guess. What's the name of the company? Imagine I have no clue whatsoever. I have no business knowledge. I started a Bitcoin company. Guess what I named my company? Coin. Right? No branding, knowledge, nothing. I started a Bitcoin company. I started to name my first company Coin, right? So I started from really like nothing, like no knowledge, because economics doesn't help, right? I had no clue what GLTBBSIS or the financial cash flow, balance sheet, income statement are interrelated. I had to incorporate the company myself, all the legality aspect of the company. I had to hire the employees myself. I started from a one-person company. Even up to today, I ask from my parents this much amount of money, right? Even from Bitkub as well. I never asked from my parents for any money. Apart from the laptop, they bought me a laptop that I did my thesis on, that I started my first company on. Right? For the first company, I told you earlier, anti-money laundering officers, the Bank of Thailand, the revenue departments, all the issues. I cannot talk to anybody, not even my parents, because nobody understood what Bitcoin was. My dad, we got into fights all the time, like heavy fights. I was not a good student back then, but I never, like fought with my parents up until my first company. Right? My dad wanted me to shut down the company. There's no point risking my life to be in jail, he said. Right? But I was like, Mark Anderson said Bitcoin is going to change the world. I was too stubborn. I hate it. I hate losing. Right? And eventually, the first company was sold to Gojek at 100 million USD. So it was one of the biggest deal in the Southeast Asian history, right? And then I started Bitkub. But I mean, I haven't got enough time today. But if I tell you my whole journey from coins to Bitkub, I need to have another maybe 2 hours to go into details. But I can tell you that it's not easy. At one point, Bitkub had 2 months of runway before I had to shut down and let go of everybody. Right? And we enter new issues every year. Bitkub has been growing at 1,000% every year in the past 3 years. Grew 2,000% in the 4th year. We grew to 2,000 employees. So you will have to encounter different stages of the company, and even with me telling you the journey, you will not fully understand it until you really experience it yourself. But every entrepreneur would face a similar journey, regardless of which industry you're in. You will likely face similar issues. I think the key is to prepare the right mindset. Prepare the five tips that I shared with you, that you can start even from today. Start practicing. If you really want to become an entrepreneur, if you have really decided that you want to become an entrepreneur, are you willing to pay the price? Right? Yes. So not enough time to go deep into coins, COTH, and Bitkub, but I hope you benefited from today's sharing. Thank you.
All right, should we take a few questions? Yeah? So who had the questions?
So, what is your current goal and vision, and also your company too, in the next 10 years?
To be honest with you guys, in every chapter of my life, I only have one goal, and in the past at least, I was willing to sacrifice everything, every other things, to achieve this one single goal. For example, during my university time, my only goal was to get into Oxford. I sacrificed everything else to the extreme, even, just to achieve this goal. Sacrifice, family time, no university life, many other things. And for coins, .co.th, my goal was to, sorry to be frank, but to slap everybody in the face with success. Because everyone was laughing at me for starting this Bitcoin company. Nobody believed in me, not even my parents. Right? I wanted to prove to everybody that I was the minority that was right about Bitcoin, whereas the majority are wrong. Not even the exit. I'm not as proud with this $100 million exit versus slap everybody in the face with success. Right? For Bitkub, to be frank, initial goal was to create a unicorn, the first unicorn. I told myself, it has to be me, right? To create the first unicorn for our country. But after you have reached this point, is beyond just rubber stamp, like unicorn rubber stamp anymore for me. It's to dig deep. Before we wanted, after the unicorn status, we want to become a regional company. at least to be competitive outside of Thailand and bring money into Thailand. But now my vision started to shift. Instead of spreading ourselves thin, we would rather go deep into Thailand and make sure that we are the national champion for the fourth industrial revolution technology. Right? So Bitkub started to branch out into multiple pillars. Like, obviously we are successful in blockchain. We started to branch out into AI, right? Bitkub AI, right? We have Bitkub Metaverse. We invested almost 1 billion Thai baht. I think we are the most serious players now in Thailand for the metaverse stuff. Right? We started to branch out into creating an open education platform for the country, like Learn to Earn. Right? And we started to invest in other startups because I feel very sad that now there are not as many startups emerging. Not many startups left even. The peak here was 2015-16 year in Thailand. In 2020-21, there are barely any new startups emerging. And the likes of like, DTAC, Accelerator, AIS Incubator are all gone. They all left. So we have to recreate our own ecosystem again. Like in 2021, we made $200 million of revenue and $100 million of net profit. 3.3 billion Thai baht of net profit. So we started to invest our own money into other startups. Another interesting figure, in 2021, only 3 startups got funded from other, like all the VCs combined. Bitkub already invested in 15. Right? So I think my vision now is to become a fourth industrial revolution for the country and make sure we represent Thailand by pushing the technological frontier forward for our country. We are the daring greatly, we are the crazy ones. We're the first to launch like product. We're the first to launch like crazy ideas, like metaverse, like AI. Ideas that people were laughing at. Right? We want to be this group. Right? We want to be the first to support, not even have to do it ourselves, to support the crazy ones too. Like, I don't know if you guys remember last year, Man United Liverpool game, the match of the century. Cost us £100 million, 90 minutes. So that everybody can watch Man United Liverpool in Thailand. It's a crazy idea. Who would pay £100 million for 90 minutes? We did. We lost 120 million Thai baht. $4 million net loss, right? But it's okay because it gave inspiration to many people in Thailand after. Right? We were the first to push, support the Miss Universe, Miss Thailand by using NFT technology. We did it so well that Miss Universe Philippines reached out to us and said if they can replicate what our success for Miss Thailand. Right? We want to push the boundary. Football, Thai football, they are lacking sponsorship now. Bitkub had to step in and sponsored Thai football leagues for 2 years. We even sponsored Thai national teams. Right? So I think the key principle now behind our group is to support the crazy ones, to create new things for our country. But in particular, we want to dig deep into the fourth industrial revolution technology to become a national champion for tech for Thailand.
Okay, I think we can maybe take one more question. Okay.
Come on, guys, you have to do one thing that scares you every day.
Okay, so I'm going to keep this short and simple. So you talk a lot about adaptability quotient, which should be very important in the future, right? Do you have any tips or tricks you can do every day to improve this adaptability quotient?
I think AQ is part of the few tips that I shared earlier. For example, like the failure. Get used to like failing, right? People cannot receive failure pretty well, but to have a higher AQ, you must willing to learn and accept failure all the time. You have to have this mindset that you are not always right. As far as it's changing to you, right? And you have to have the courage to experiment as well. That's how to improve the AQ, the courage to experiment. I have been telling many people on many stages that we have so many good students in Thailand. So many good students, smart students. But we are lacking the ones with courage. So be different, right? Be different. We have too many good students already, too many smart students already. Have the courage to start a company. Have the courage to fail, right? Have the courage to be the target for the people to laugh at you, to try to bring you down. Because that's what you will definitely going to face the higher you go up. I have never seen who are more successful than me criticizing me. Think about that. The only people that have been sacrificing me are not the more successful ones. So it's actually a good indicator that you're going up the ladder. The more people throw rocks at you. Right? So have the courage. We are lacking the courage to create new things for the country. We have too many good students, too many smart students already. Yes, so those are the tips to improve the AQ. Do one thing that scares you every day, right? Make sure you're familiar with failure, get used to failing, right? And you have to have this mindset of continuous learning. And this mindset that's to always remind yourself that you're not always right. You're always willing to learn new ways compared to the rate that the world is moving. Right? I hope it helps.
Okay. We have one student begging to ask the question. If we can have one more.
Sure.
I know that we're running out of time, so it can be like short and quick, but you're talking a lot about failure, so I would like to know what is your biggest or most meaningful failure, and what is the takeaway you gain from it?
Very good question, but I need 2 more hours
Then it's fine.
to
Can be
share
next
all
time.
the failures. I mean, I messed up every day. I messed up every year. Like, I screw up. I still make mistakes today. Meaningful, too painful. Like, so many painful experiences. I would not, like, it's once in a lifetime, you know. It's one of those things that you will only do it once. You don't want to do it twice. So many, but I would like to remind you that once you have this, like, constant issues, right, hitting your mental walls, right, you will start to change too. Make sure you realize that you have self-care. You know, tips like write a grateful gratitude list, or try to avoid things that trigger temper in you or anger in you. Don't put yourself in an environment or situation that would be a catalyst to make things worse. For example, myself, by the way, when you guys are experiencing constant failure, if you don't have mindfulness, right, sati, you will lose it. One day you will lose it. Either you have like anger management issues, or you have mental issues, or you have depression. It's normal, but make sure you have sati, right? And you practice gradually every day. Have positive thinking, and try to avoid activities that would trigger the anger in you. For example, I used to get on the road, right, drive, and went like crazy on the road, not knowing that I was pressured from something else. I was under heavy stress for a long time. But I put everything on the road, which is not good. Try to avoid. Have a driver if you can afford it. You know, eventually when your company grows, right? Saves you time. You can rest. You know, you can have more productivity time as well in the car. You can even. I have on Sunday. I go on a health day now. It includes talking to psychologists. I don't have mental issues, but I did not know before that you can actually go and see, you know, mental psychologist, doctor. Not because you have issues, or we have issues, but you can actually bring the best in you out once you know yourself more. You know, Ronaldo, my idol, he even painted his toenails in black. This small, so that his nails are thicker than average football players. Even this small age, he would even take this action to put himself, you know, beyond other footballers. He has a team. He's the first to arrive in the training pitch, the last to leave the training pitch. He carefully selects what he eats. He has a personal chef with him every day. So to become a good entrepreneur, make sure you invest in what cannot be seen as well on the background, right? Like personal, doctor, you know, health care, self-care. The reason why I'm not answering your question directly is because there's so many like painful failure that I cannot just pick one, right? But what it would be more useful is to share the tips on how to handle yourself, how to once you have these anger management issues, how do you deal with it, you know, or mental or depression from constant failing, because the journey would be tough on your way up to create a global, a big company. You have to have a strong mental health. You know, some guys are experiencing like depression. What price are you willing to pay, right? It's part of the question you need to ask yourself. Or if you don't want to pay the price, prepare yourself early on these 5 tips. You can practice to handle pain every day. Since if you have decided that you want to become an entrepreneur, prepare from today onwards, so your body can adjust. You don't experience an instant shock, right? That's more important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing the insights and
Khop.
not sugarcoating it for us. So may I ask Ajahn Warasak to present the gift to our guest on stage? And yes. Yes, so we're going to now take a group photo. So maybe everyone can get up and we'll take the photo from the stage onto the audience. And may I ask our faculty members from here to also come to the front. Okay, thank you all for coming, and you can make your way out and enjoy the rest of your evening. Yeah, I think so.
สวัสดีค่ะ